This is Korea 360 on Money FM 89.3, your all-round look at the manpower and labor landscape here, your career and also lifelong learning as well. Today, the travel industry. FCM Travel Solutions is the flagship corporate travel business of the publicly listed and globally iconic travel group, Flight Centre Travel Group, headquartered in Brisbane and Australia. It's also one of the top 5 corporate travel management companies in the world. Joining us today is Bertrand Saillet, General Manager, Asia at FCM Travel Solutions. Bertrand, hello, and thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, Howie. Pleasure to be here.
Okay, corporate traveling, perhaps not something we're all too familiar. Working stiffs get stuck here in the same country, in the same office most of the time, but maybe help us describe some of the current corporate travel trends for bigger and even smaller companies as well.
Yeah, good. So, you know that corporate travel is actually quite a big business because in Singapore only, we estimate the market at $5 billion, which is spent every year at companies to get their people traveling around the world. And what we see right now is a lot of consolidation going on. So this is mainly for large multinationals, which are trying to basically get the most of their global travel budget and go for one travel agency globally to take care of it and get some consolidated reports and stuff like that. We see also a lot of focus on compliance, which is travel policy, cost control, who can travel business, who needs to travel economy, and these kind of things, and better control. Duty of care is obviously a big thing. It's like you as an employer has a responsibility toward your employees when they travel, and you need to know where they are they safe, can we do something, should something happen, and this is something that the companies are looking at a lot as well. And the overall kind of thing that is driving all of this today is technology, because obviously travelers need solutions to help them traveling in a better way, and companies need automated reports, and automation is also a driver of lower cost of service, which is obviously a big need of every company right now.
How else has this changed over time? We have technology coming in, and all of that needs to be managed, and all of that needs to move with the times as well. What else has changed over time, and what are the implications of these changes?
Yeah, so the travel industry by default is a fast-moving industry because we have so many players all around. If you look at it, we probably work with more than 1,000 travel providers, being airlines, hotels, car providers, transfer, and all of these kind of providers that you have everywhere and you need to put together. So obviously the changes are everywhere, and we as a travel management company need to make sure that we make it easy for the customers we have in our portfolio and delivering the solutions that they need, obviously.
So you're helping them be the one-stop shop?
Yes, that's exactly what we are, a one-stop shop. And then the technology, coming back to it, is also a massive driver because technology bring transparency to travelers and make the travelers more empowered. When 10 years ago you were buying an airfare and you never knew whether it was a good or a bad price, you never knew what options you had basically in the marketplace.
There were no price comparison sites, etc. Yeah.
Right now you go on any website and you can have in one click basically thousands of options which are offered to you. So we as a travel management company have a responsibility to give transparency to our customers and make sure that we go for a best buy kind of approach.
What is it about corporate travel management that intrigues you, that keeps you in this job?
Yeah, that's a very good question. When I first came into corporate travel, I was kind of amazed because, as I said before, this is a massive budget. And for most of the companies, this is always in the top 5 of the spend. So when after HR costs and kind of building management and stuff like that, travel comes next. And it's kind of amazing how sometimes lightly managed it is.
And also we seem to know so little about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because it has never been like on top of the priority of the big companies. It's like, we travel because we have to. But just a few of them really put emphasis into optimizing the travel program and all of that. And this is something that we are trying to change with our customers, doing a lot of education, explaining what can be achieved by having a better look at their travel spend and all that. And the point is not to travel less, it's to travel better and make sure that you optimize basically everything you are doing and delivering to your travelers a better coverage and a better support while they travel too. And this is our biggest focus right now.
What other sort of aims do you have as a travel management company? I imagine as long as they're safe and they get there safely and everything is done efficiently because of how quickly the pace of change is now in the world, what else would there be?
So cost control is a big thing, and we really want to help them to save and, again, to get most from their budget. The other thing is really now focusing on the travelers. So we just released an app which is called SAM, S-A-M, which is only for our travelers or customers, but basically what it does is like supporting the traveler all along the way. So this is a chatbot that you can chat with, and it's going to bring you the relevant information at the time you need it. So for example, before getting to the airport, it's going to tell you, you need to go now, because to get on time at the airport, we just checked the traffic for you, and because the traffic is quite heavy, you should leave your meeting now. But then the point is, if you cannot leave now because you are doing a radio interview like me right now, you just ask Sam, can you please rebook me on the next available flight? So that, having this kind of interaction and support to the traveler to make his life much easier and being assisted all along the journey.
We're not so unreasonable. We'd have let you go if there were some sort of emergency, Bertrand.
I appreciate that, but I'm having a good time. So.
But also travel companies or travel solutions companies will have to bear in mind, say, political situations and such, the changing times of the world. So technology we've touched on, how much do uncertainties in other regions affect how you do things as well? Changing regulation, etc.
Exactly, and it's probably one of the most disrupted industry anyway, because should something happen somewhere, it has an impact by default on everything else. Corporate travel specifically is very much linked to the GDP growth, and we've seen that like for the past 20 years, each time the global GDP goes up, the corporate travel goes up, and when it's a downturn or something, then it goes down, which is very interesting because it's also a bit of a temperature of the global economy, because obviously with the globalization going on right now, companies need to get their people traveling everywhere and make sure that they get the business to grow and to sustain the growth. But obviously in tough time, that part of the business is being very impacted.
What does it take then to make a career in this field? I mean, we can't be keeping an eye on everything, political, climate change, the economy, etc., but it sounds like you might have to.
Yeah, it's a very good point. So the first thing is that it's a fascinating industry. And to your point earlier, it's true that we don't communicate enough on how fascinating the industry is. And sometimes we struggle to bring talent in there because people just don't know about it. But we have so many different jobs in the corporate travel industry. And yes, you need a lot of curiosity. You need to have an open mind. You also need, like the level of skill set we need now compared to what we used to need is very different. When we used to be very much like order takers and having travel consultants, which were just like responding to customer needs, now we need people that can think strategically about the customers and what is it that they want, and having this technology focus, which is very new too. So
and anticipate trends.
Exactly, and anticipate trends and kind of understand what is it that is going to be expected in 5 years, so that you don't come late in the party and kind of, struggle with your own business.
That is challenging. I've often asked business owners as well, what are you doing? Looking into a crystal ball, consulting the cards almost. Anticipation is challenging.
It's challenging, but, we tend to believe that by engaging with customers, so for example, we do a lot of customer advisory groups, which is like getting customers together, talking about what is it that they need, what is it that they like today, and things that they would like to see that they don't have. We do a lot of, there is a lot of global kind of firms which are looking at corporate travel as well. I don't want to name too many companies today, but for example, Google is focusing a lot on travel right now. So with all of this, we try to make sense of this amount of information and come up with solutions that we think are taking us to the next level and delivering solutions that customers expect.
On your own, Bertrand, how do you stay relevant and keep up with this sector? Here in Singapore, it's all about upskilling these days.
Yeah. Learning is definitely a big thing, and keeping an open mind and kind of looking at how things evolve and all of that. I read a lot of books, I read a lot of news, and that's obviously very important. It's also very important to not only focus on your own industry, but look at what happens somewhere else. So, for example, I was talking about IT before. I'm very much an IT geek to a certain extent. So that's the kind of things that need to happen to kind of keep an open eye and make sure that you know what's going on, basically. And then in terms of training and all of that, we do have regular training. As a leader, we do a lot of things now around emotional intelligence and all those things, which are, I guess, good ways to get your people following you. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. Like a bit of soft and hard skills, basically.
Because at the end of the day, people are the business.
Yeah, people.
And it's a people business.
It is. I mean, we are in the service industry after all, and whatever we do is done by our people, and this is our main point of differentiation. So if we don't come up with the best people, we are not going to deliver the best service, and this is basically our focus, and making sure that I surround myself with people that can lead this organization to where we want it to be.
How do you think your previous career incarnations helped you, your previous experiences in other fields?
It's a very interesting question, because now we recruit a lot of millennials, and what we feel is that sometimes people want to fast track a lot of steps, you know what I mean, and get to leadership positions when they haven't really established a proper let's say expertise in some fields.
Or gained enough experience,
yes, yeah. That's what So for me, I really started by building my expertise. So it was more on the customer management side. I started as a salesperson in the telecom industry. Then I moved more into the marketing, client management kind of thing, and then started the leadership. So I'm not suggesting that everybody needs to follow the same path, but for me it was a very important way to basically make sure I was expert in something, to develop skills around it and get where I am now. I think it's very important, the step-by-step kind of approach.
But FCM Travel Solutions, as a global leader, would have that sort of training track that somebody could embark on.
Yes, we do, and we offer a lot. We have something in our company what we call brightness of future. So the brightness of future is basically looking at what's the next step for our people. So every month during our one-on-ones with our employees, we talk about...
Every month?
Yeah, because it's more like a check, so we know that this is where you want to go, and how do we work together to get you where you want to be, basically. So this is how it works. And yeah, this is important because people are motivated by what they do, but it's also important to keep an eye on the prize and make sure that people see the next step and what's coming. We believe that development is very important. But again, to your point, we have a lot of jobs. I mean, even in a market like Singapore, between the travel consultants, account managers, business development managers, the marketing position, finance support. And then we have the global opportunities, which are about, like, if you want one day to work in New York, you can do that, you know. It's just a question of positioning yourself for the job.
So advice to the young job seeker looking to muscle their way into this particular space?
The first thing is think travel industry. This is a very sexy industry. We have loads of jobs, and really we are looking for talent. So for me, that's the first thing, is like, look at it. Then if you are curious, if you have a bit of a global mindset and international focus, it's definitely a place for you, because we really want to help you go global and think, you know, with a bit of a, I don't know, like out of the box, and getting more ideas and fresh ideas to continuously evolve and make sure that this industry doesn't get stuck in the 90s, if you see what I mean.
You can check them out at sg.fcm.travel. We've been talking to FCM Travel Solutions General Manager Asia, Bertrand Saillet. Bertrand, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Howie, for inviting me.
Money FM 89.3.